Hello guys, I'm back. So this video I kind of want to talk about my Skyrim and what I do for YouTube and do those stories, and also talk about my trip. So if you're not interested in anything like that, this is probably your time to turn off the video because it's probably not made for you. But if you're a fan of the channel and you want to hear about the things I did and things I plan on doing with my story series for Skyrim, stick around and maybe grab yourself a drink, because it might be a little bit of a long one. I don't know. So, I'll see you in game. Well, hello. I might sound a bit weird because I think I'm gathering a cold. For some reason my back of my throat hurts. And I'm really surprised that I dodged the cold travelling different countries. So I am back. I've spent a month in the UK. I only went to make sure my mother didn't get lost. And I want to say a few things. I don't want to spend an hour talking about the UK. I just want to say a quick few short things. I want to say it was a beautiful country. I landed in London, explored London for a couple of days, rented a car, and then went north and made our way to Scotland. And we stayed throughout country towns and places here and there throughout England before we crossed over into Scotland to meet up with an old friend that was a friend of my mother's for a while. And then we went to Ireland, and then we went we landed in like the Republic of Ireland, and then we went north into the UK territory. It was a very surreal experience, to be honest with you. You know, I'm an Australian, right? If you haven't told by my accent yet, and we live in a very big country, but it's situated in the on the east of the planet, right? So travelling for us to go to these other places is kind of difficult. You know, our tourist destinations for like short little trips is normally like Bali or Thailand and other South Pacific sort of islander countries and Asian countries like that. Because to go to places like America or the UK can take up to 32 hours of travel, landing in pit stops all over the place. It takes a long time. Now, the UK was a beautiful country. I'd never seen anything like it in my life, of course. Because again, it was so different. It was so green, so luscious. Like, it was nuts, man. I mean, if you were a lawnmower dude, you'd never be out of work. It was unreal, to say. I'm very glad to be back home, so I can, be back where I live, and back home in Australia, and back home doing, working, going to the gym, playing Skyrim, playing other games, just kind of doing what I've always done. And it's great to be back, but man, it was just a surreal experience. It was kind of, oh my god, leave me alone. Any bloody way. It was a really beautiful experience going to Ireland, Scotland and England. I didn't go into Wales. I'm not a big traveller. I really don't care for it. Not that I don't like travelling, it's just I don't care to go out of my way to like spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to fly for 32 hours to land in the country and this and that. But I went there because my mother wanted to go and see someone that used to work for at a pub that was from Scotland, and that's kind of the reason we went, to visit this woman that she hasn't seen in 15 years. And I want to say a couple of things, like, firstly, oh man, your British summers are colder than our Australian winters. I mean, holy shit, man. When I first got out of the Heathrow airport, when I walked out that door, I could see my breath straight away. The cold hit me, like it just cloaked me. It was nuts. I could see my own breath, and it was 11 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, what? This is going into their summer? That's crazy, dude. Everyone's wearing jackets, jumpers, jeans, all sorts of shit. And here I am in my shorts and my shoes. And I'm like, this is awesome weather. I mean, if you're from the UK and you want to visit Australia, do it at the right time. Do it during an Australian winter, because it's going to be warmer, but you're slightly going to warm yourself up to the Australian weather when it rocks around into summer, if you're going to be staying for some time. So be advised, well, it also depends where you land, really, because Australia's a very big country. The south is cold, the north is hot, and the middle is fucking desert. So it's a very different climate, Australia. It's got all different sorts, because again, the south gets snowy mountains, and in the north it's just dry as a nun's vagina. Damn it. So, yeah, be advised if you're going to travel to Australia and you live in the UK or any sort of cold country, that it's going to be a big reality check. It's kind of like me going to Thailand. It's very dry, not dry. It's very humid and very. I don't understand it, man. Like it rains all the time, but when the sun comes out, all the rain disappears. All moisture and everything's just sucked into your body. And I don't know, man. I don't get it, because I sweat like a Mexican with a brick of cocaine between his arse cheeks crossing the US border. And I was sweating pretty bad over there in the UK too, but it's a beautiful country. It's hard to explain, because I don't want to spend 2,000 hours trying to tell you about my experiences. It was just so different. I mean, the way you guys, we drive on the same side of the road, with the UK, Ireland and Australia on the left, and somehow my mother still managed to drive the car around the wrong way around a roundabout. I fucking looked at her, man. My mother, who was 65 years old, a woman that I love to death, because she's my mum, and she's the best mum a guy could ask for. And I looked at her when she did it, and I was like, fuck me dead, cunt. They drive on the same side as the road as us, you stupid bitch. And I said this to my own mother. I said, fuck me dead, cunt. You stupid bitch. They drive on the same side as the fucking road than we do. And I said that to my mother's face in the passenger seat. Like, I've trusted that woman for my entire life, especially in the car, and I've never felt not safe, but I felt unsafe driving in the UK with her, so I had to drive. Now, I'm just a dude that drives, normal roads. I don't live in big cities with millions of people. The closest city to me is like probably 90,000 people, right? Not even a city. It's more of like a town or something like that. And the roads are pretty simple to drive and stuff like that. But fuck me dead. I had to do a lot of driving, and I was driving in London. I was driving in Heathrow. I was driving in Belfast and Dublin, and I was not fit to drive in those places, man. I really wasn't, but I did. And I'll never forget the experience, and I really enjoyed it. I couldn't say a bad thing, about my experience in the UK and Ireland.
Back off. You have committed crimes against Skyrim and her people.
This happens sometimes.
I can make all your problems with the done. Now move along.
Now, I'm just glad to be home. Having to drive from kilometers per hour to miles per hour, that stuff can be annoying, right? It can be. It can be annoying. But all the same, I'm glad I'm home, and I'm glad I've done it. Now, I don't want to get too much. I don't want to, because again, if I start talking about my time in the UK, I will rattle forever. I kind of want to talk about Skyrim now, if interested around. It's normally going to be about my series, about the story series I do with my YouTube, telling Skyrim a bit like it was a TV series, or a bit like it was written in a book, but made by a guy that doesn't know how to like super duperly edit, like what's his name? He's now a Sky Oblivion uploader, and he does all the Sky Oblivion dev diaries. I can't remember his name, but again, the stories, right? So before I left, I decided I wanted to do something along the lines of a time jump, right? The last story was missing an action, which I did wrong for my picture, because it lost an action, for my icon, whatever you call it, thumbnail. And I wanted a time jump, like some time after that, a month or a month and a half, and it's in the heart of winter, and I kind of want to do a story where I update everyone's story that we've seen so far, even the minor characters, what they're doing in the heart of winter, where they are, what they're doing, and that sort of stuff. And this is one here is called Cecilia. She's a vampire, and for a little short explanation of her backstory, she was a Imperial soldier during the Oblivion Crisis who served as a companion to the Holy Crusader. So eventually she became a vampire, and found herself in Skyrim. There's an entire story in that, so I'm going to go into 10 minutes of explaining that in this, and that's my very first chapter. It's called The Last Gate. And I'm kind of thinking about it, and this is kind of me wanting to interact with you guys a little bit. I'm kind of thinking about doing... She's taken a vampire under her wing, and her name's Zarita. She found her in a cage. Now, I've had a bit of a thought, even before I left, about sort of a story conception, or inspiration, I guess you could say, from the ESO guild called Raven's Watch. Now, Raven's Watch and ESO, even in the base game before you meet them in the DLC, they're vampires that don't hunt and kill innocent people. They get fed by working with people, by looking out, by protecting them, or by doing jobs for them, and those people will feed them blood to keep them satisfied, and those vampires will protect and look after them. They are vampires with, I guess you could say, a good moral standing. A bit like Cecilia, and I thought since she's kind of now in her storyline at the current time hunting these vampires and waiting for whatever's coming with the vampires, with Sarita and even Freya, that she will find more vampires like herself that are hunting or trying to fight these vampires off and protect the people of Skyrim, or keep themselves out of the fire by eradicating vampires so they don't get too big and people don't go hunting for them, that she takes in others like herself, and she will recreate the Raven's Watch. So vampires that are like her, that are even ancient and that sort of thing. I don't want to worry about this, eh? Fuck off, you pains in the ass. So, think about that. You know, when we see her updated story from the last time, I don't remember which one it was. It might have been Blood and Gold. That she's, throughout her journey from that time to the last chapter to now the month of Dead of Winter, she's found other vampires that are like her, and she's, you know, they're pretty much doing what the Dawn Guard are doing. They're killing other vampires, and they might be in a city at night watching over it when vampires attack. So, because the Dawn Guard aren't that big at the moment, right? They haven't got big numbers, so they can't be everywhere. And so these guys are kind of in places where they know the Dawn Guard aren't, because they don't want to be hunted by the Dawn Guard, but they also know that if the Dawn Guard aren't there, vampires will attack it. And so they'll circle around, you know, a bit like two sides of a coin, I guess you could say. The Dawn Guard go here, and Raven's Watch goes somewhere else, or Cecilia's group of vampires. Vampires she's rescued, vampires that have the same goal as her, and stuff like that. Now, that's kind of where I'm thinking of taking the story with her, right? But I kind of want to interact with you guys a bit. I like this old Vigilant armor, right? This has been her armor since the CC stuff came out. I love it because it's part of her background story, right? Now, I use two mods for the Vigilance armor. That is the free one, Nord UA's non-playable faction armors, which is like what I see as a modern concept of armors, or the modern concept of what the Vigilance are today, 200 years after their creation. And then I see the creation kit's Vigilance Enforcer gear as sort of the armor they wore once they had freshly created their group. And back then I call it the Vigilance. I don't call it the Vigilance Extender, I just call it the Vigilance. And this is Cecilia's backstory after the Oblivion Gates are closed and the Holy Crusader disappeared into a strange gate. She joined a new group of people that wanted to kill Daedra and their worshippers. She left the Legion and she joined on with them, and this is what they wore. And eventually she was turned into a vampire. She found her way into Skyrim due to her story and her background, and she eventually painted it black to blend in with the night. Alright, so this isn't how she walks around. Let me show you real quick. We got the vampire thing here. That was instant. Am I not a vampire at the moment? I don't think I am. I have to kill someone and take their blood real quick. Give me 1 second. So, I just officially became a vampire, because I use a mod better vampires, so I need to drink blood with my vampire race to actually become a proper vampire, for some reason to work with better vampires. So as you can see, she's actually running slower now, as the vampire stuff has taken effect. This is how I play Cecilia during the day. It's bright, and it's ugly. Right? Because again, her eyes, if we look deep into them, look rather nocturnal. Right? So I didn't want the vampire just to be like a supernatural thing, but also a physical thing. their body physically changes. Their skin goes pale dead white because they lose all their melanin. So that also, that's why their body is physically affected by the sun. Not just magically because it's a piece of Therius, but also because their body is physically not made, because it hasn't got the protection to fight off the sun's rays and something like that. And of course the eyes, looking very nocturnal, they are nocturnal. This is how she sees the world. But at night time, it's rather beautiful. So she'll run faster now, she'll jump higher, and she'll see much better, where my mortal characters won't really be able to see anything during the night time. So this is kind of how she plays. Now, so the question I really want to sort of get your interaction with is, does these vampires that follow her, very much like Zarita, does she create her own sort of faction, you know? Does she create the Raven's Watch? Does she start manufacturing armor like hers, and these other vampires will wear her armor? At the same time, I like the idea that she'll have others that look like her, but at the same kind of time, I kind of like her uniqueness, that she's the only one that looks like this, that this is her, and that others that might look like her might take away from her uniqueness or her look. So I thought about, you know, instead of giving Zarita this gear, because this gear is in a storyline, it's 200 plus years old. This is the sort of starting gear of the Vigilance War, and they don't wear it anymore because it's long since expired, but this is what she wears because this was her armor, and she's modified it over time to paint it black to blend in with the night so she can't be seen, and to cover up her face because, well, she does operate during the daylight. Same thing with her shield. It's an Imperial shield that she used during, you know, the Oblivion Crisis. Painted it black, or maybe dyed it in ebony black, or whatever the hell that makes any sense at all. Now, do I give these new people that join her in her cause, those that physically join her and like the idea of living their life the way she does, do I give them the Vigil Enforcer armor, or do I just make their armor black? You know, the whole idea that maybe they might melt down an ebony ignorant or two and paint their armor black to kind of blend in with the sky. Does her group of people be uniformed under what she wears, or do they uniform to a colour like black? You know, so Zarita, real quick, I can get her really quickly and I can show you what she's wearing right now, and I'll do a little test run to make it look black to see if it kind of improves. So let me know. Alright, so I'm basically going to have to, I'm going to get Zarita. I'll show you her during the daytime, what she looks like now. And then when I do the work, I'll switch it over and I'll show you what it looks like when she's black. Alright, so this is what Zarita is wearing. Kind of, I wanted to she wears a different, you know, armor in her story when she's immortal. Very freeing and sort of, well, because she's got lots of melanin in her skin. She went from being a red guard to a vampire, and like I said in my game, they physically change skin color. So she went from a black woman to a pale dead woman. And that's kind of the way that vampires are in my game. Doesn't matter if they're orcs, dark elves. I try to keep orcs like slightly pale green, but I kind of want them to look palish dead. So this is kind of what she wears with her steel plate, and we'll switch it over and see with her steel plate black, maybe even her belt black. I don't know. I don't want the pants and the shirt to go black. I just want the armor, but I don't know how it's going to look if with the pants being brown. I haven't made the texture for that, and I could easily do it. It's just a simple edit, but we'll have a look real quick at what she looks like with black armor. Now, this is kind of the way that I would want her to look if she was uniformed to be wearing the black armor. Not too sure that's actually
I'm
her.
right behind
Is that
you.
her helmet? Yeah, it is. So, as you can
If there's
see,
anything I can help you
it's
with,
gone
you have
black.
but to ask.
Pants still original colour. It's just the clothes are still original colours, but her armour has gone black. So the whole idea of it would be that they are now uniformed, that they wear the black. It's a different kind of black, of course, different kind of texture, but You know, I love the idea that she'd be able to have her very own faction they wear that what she wears, but at the same time, to me, it feels like it takes away from her uniqueness from her armor, because her armor is a part of her history. It's a part of the Vigilus of Stendar. Same thing with the shield. It's a part of that she was once an Imperial Legionary, that fought in the Oblivion Crisis. So I kind of like the idea that anyone that follows her, it being an ancient Imperial soldier, an ancient Nord, this or that, they'll kind of signify by joining her, by dyeing their armor in black ebony, or dyeing their clothes in black dye, kind of that they are, you know, Raven's Watch, not by the uniform they wear, but by the colour they wear. That, you know, they wear black, pretty much. And this is kind of thinking, what do you think anyway? Because, again, I kind of want to be able to tell when I'm fighting as a Dragonborn, slaying down dragons, and I see someone wearing this armor that I know it's Cecilia and not just some other random. Maybe after the Dragon Wars it could be a thing, but it's not really important then. For me it is, but for the overall story it's not. So, yeah, what do you guys think? Should I uniform them by wearing ancient gear that she might have to remanufacture? You know, the copy of her old armor design, or do we leave them keep their own armor, but we make it black to kind of uniform them? You know, like I'd even love to see other Imperial or other random travelers
we've managed to accomplish.
that wear the black steel plate. You know, that even if it's a basic vanilla steel plate armor, that they will dye it black if they're a vampire that believes in the same values that Cecilia and Zarita and believe in. But anyway, I think that's a good enough video for I'm Back. I definitely want to get into some other videos. Sky Oblivion video that came out a month ago, and the Sky Wind video that came out a month ago, and also some Beyond Skyrim stuff, because I get so many goddamn replies to my Sky Beyond Skyrim videos, and a lot of them are the same sort of like question as why don't they release it one by one like Tamriel Rebuild does. But anyway, I'm out of here. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll get back to telling some stories and doing many other different sort of Elder Scrolls, Skyrim related content. Anyway, I'm out of here. Catch you later. Look out yourselves.